Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you something fairly new on the Bedrock Edition, and that is zero-ticking sugarcane farms. These things are honestly pretty awesome because, as you guys know, on the Bedrock Edition, sugarcane is notoriously slow at growing. It basically grows once every 25 years, and that's pretty ridiculous. With these types of farms, you're basically forcing the sugarcane to grow every couple of seconds, which is really awesome, really nice and clean. It doesn't cost anything, and honestly, it's just a really simple and straightforward modular build, so you can expand these farms to be whatever size you want to suit your sugarcane needs. For every single sugarcane plant that you have inside your farm, you'll get approximately 1,000 sugarcane per hour, which is pretty excellent. So a farm with 4 sugarcane plants will get approximately 4,000 per hour. A farm with 10 sugarcane plants will get approximately 10,000 items per hour, which is honestly quite awesome, and hopefully you guys do enjoy today's tutorial. So before we take a look at either of the two different farm designs in this video, let's actually take a look at how they work and how they're forcing the sugarcane to grow as fast as they are. So this isn't actually proper zero ticking because we do not have zero tick pistons on the Bedrock Edition. We basically don't have any of the nice fun features that Java Edition pistons have. Therefore, these things are kind of terrible on Bedrock. However, this kind of farm is called a zero-ticking sugarcane farm, so that's just like what we're calling it, even though it doesn't technically use zero-tick. So the major big difference in between this type of farm on Java Edition and Bedrock is that Java Edition will be zero-ticking the block underneath the sugarcane to force the sugarcane to update and grow another stage higher. However, on Bedrock Edition, we can't do that because, again, we don't have zero-ticking pistons. We have to actually update the water source to the sugarcane. So as you can see, we have multiple different pistons going into this water source right here, which acts as the actual hydration for the sugarcane to grow. So when I flick this lever, you can see that we will get a new stage to our sugarcane, and that's pretty straightforward. It's honestly pretty awesome. So I'm not entirely sure who originally found how to zero tick this. I actually know that several different people have found it separately from each other. I'm not entirely sure who the first person was. However, I do know that this design right here is from Navy Nexus in our Discord, and I'll have a link to his video down below. Thank you very much, Navy Nexus. I just kind of modified his design with 2 pistons and a stair up to 3 pistons, and then this weird funky water logging out the side kind of deal. Not very compact, however, this one is technically a little bit faster than having 2 pistons. Of course, you can put as many of these tiny little modules next to each other as you like. As you can see over here, I have 4 of my design with the 3 pistons, and then I have 10 of Navy Nexus design with the 2 pistons. And it gets a little bit crazy out the backside with the redstone. However, it's all very, very simple and still very cheap, all things considered, for how much sugarcane you actually get from these different farms. So again, the rates of your sugarcane farm is based purely on the number of sugarcane plants in it. So for every single plant, you get about 1,000 sugarcane per hour. From this 4 plant farm right here, we get about 3,960 sugarcane per hour. Honestly, really, really good considering its size, in that we're only using 4 plants, which is amazing. And then using the 2 piston design from Nexus over here, and also 4 plants, we get about 3,700 per hour. As you can see, this design is much more compact. However, this one does look kind of cool, and I do kind of still prefer it, even though it's not nearly as compact. And the space that you could put 4 plants using my design, you could fit 10 plants using Nexus's design. So take that with a grain of salt. I still think this one looks kind of cooler. So 2 more things I should mention about these sugarcane farms is that we are simply collecting all of the drops using a hopper minecart down here, which then goes into a minecart unloader. And yeah, that's pretty much straightforward. As you can see, we get a ton of sugarcane from this very, very simple farm. And then also, the sugarcane will only ever grow 2 blocks tall from this zero ticking method. You will never get it to grow 3 blocks tall, so that is why we just put a roof over it and we're not ever worried about it. It only ever grows 2 blocks tall. So the first thing that I'll be showing you how to build in this tutorial is going to be a 6 plant 2 piston design farm, which will produce you about 6,000 sugarcane per hour, which is pretty awesome. You can of course build multiple of those or build 2 right next to each other to double or even triple your rates, which is pretty awesome. However, you cannot really expand the farm to have more plants per slice. The reason being is that a single speed hopper minecart unloader, just using a single hopper, can actually only handle about 6 plants before it starts getting backed up and you start losing items. So beware of that. However, if you do have yourself a double speed unloader, then you could probably use about 12 plants per hopper minecart, which would be pretty cool, but I don't know of any actual reliable double speed unloaders for the Bedrock edition. I'll leave that one up to you guys. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to build a 6 plant farm, and then you guys can just expand it from there if you want to. To build your 6 plant farm, you're going to need yourself a 12 wide area that is 5 blocks deep. This thing is also going to be 3 blocks underneath the ground, so this will be your floor layer right here, where you actually look at the farm and use it and do all that good stuff. And the farm itself is going to be 6 blocks tall, so going 3 blocks up from where you're actually standing to use the farm. So make sure you got all the space that you need to build this thing, and let's start building, shall we? So all of our hopper minecarts and unloading and redstone clock, that is all actually going to be over there, but we're going to start from the right side first. So go over to the right side, and you basically just want to build up a 2x6 little platform right here. This is going to be for all of your pistons to go on, and it's also going to be for all of your hopper minecart lines as well. It's going to be 1 block in from the edge as well, and what you want to do is just go ahead and place in your 6 pistons facing upwards right there. Go around to the back side and place 6 redstone torches on the back of those, and now you want to place in all of your actual, secondary pistons right on top of those redstone torches. Put a grass block in front of all of those, and then just get yourself a stair facing in this kind of orientation, if I can place it like that. This will prevent your water from actually flooding forward and then destroying all of your sugarcane plants, while also still allowing it to waterlog these piston heads and actually hydrate your sugarcane. Go ahead and surround these sides and the actual backside with glass. It doesn't need to be glass, but I'll be using glass because it looks nice. And then you do want to go ahead and get yourself some more pistons and place them on top of those stairs right there. So that is pretty much the bulk of the farm, and now we just need to do all the actual redstone for this. So the first thing that we're going to do is place in our water sources. Actually, make sure none of this floods out. If it does flood out, we don't have any redstone that will be ruined. If it doesn't, then you know you're safe to actually build up your redstone. You can also see that all of the water is in there if you have glass in place. See, it actually is practical. It doesn't just look good too. So now we can actually start placing in the redstone. You want a repeater going into every single one of the blocks underneath your actual pistons right there, and these all should be on 1 tick. And then just go ahead and place redstone behind all of them as well, and go 1 block out on the left side of the farm, as you can see right there. We now need to install our actual redstone clock. This thing is going to be very, very simple indeed. Basically a repeater right there powering that block, which will then power that redstone dust, powering this block and unpowering that torch, and then that just kind of cycles and repeats. And we're just going to go ahead and place a lever on that to stop that temporarily. We will remove that lever later, but now what you can do is actually start placing in your sugarcane, and then if we go ahead and flick this, then we should see all of those grow up, and then you know that this thing is working for you, and we can continue building the rest of the farm. So now we want to install the harvesting circuit for this, and this is very simple. Place an observer facing the far left piece of sugarcane at the second height, since that is all it will ever grow, and then just go ahead and place a little bit of a 2x3 platform behind it with blocks up in the corners like that. You can remove the blocks underneath those once if you want to. Now place a repeater coming right out of the butt of the observer on 2 ticks, and then another repeater right here on 2 ticks, piece of redstone dust right there, and 1 final repeater going back into the original on 3 ticks. This will prevent your observer from creating a clock up here and make it only ever send 1 pulse whenever it actually observes that sugarcane right there growing, and not when it detects the piston head extending to break it. So now what you want to do is place yourself another block right there, and then basically just run a redstone line above all of your pistons like so. That one could go into a block if you want to save some redstone dust. and that is basically all there is to it. If we break that, all of those will get harvested. And now it's time to install item collection, so just go ahead and place down a double chest right here for temporary storage. You can of course expand that later. You also want a hopper going into it right there, a block right there, comparator reading through that block to read the hopper's contents, and then a block right there, redstone torch, another block up, and a repeater right there going into a block like so. You also want to go ahead and get yourself 2 pieces of powered rail, a normal piece of rail right above that hopper, and then just continue the powered rail going all the way down in front of all of these pistons, going right into a solid block right there. Place a lever anywhere to power all of those rails, and now you can come back over here, remove that one, and replace it with a block, and that is pretty straightforward. You can also go ahead and place your hopper minecart down on there, and that will collect all of the items that your sugarcane farm actually produces. So now your actual on off switch is going to be going right here, or really you can just run in any redstone signal that you'd like. So flick that, that will stop your hopper minecart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to tie this on and off switch into the actual clock of our system as well. So you basically just want 2 pieces of redstone dust right there, a repeater, 1 more repeater, and that one is just going to be going right into a block. So whenever you have this powered, that will stop your hopper minecart. Also turn off the clock, which controls your entire system, and whenever that is flicked off, then that will harvest all of your things, and your hopper minecart will probably not collect it because we haven't finished the farm. So the final thing to do is actually to place in all the blocks around your sugarcane, if you can actually place them without them disappearing, which is mildly annoying. But yeah, basically just go ahead and encase this entire thing, make it a 2 block tall area, because they'll never grow up to 3 blocks tall, and that is basically all there is to it. We can now turn that on, and that thing is going to be working just fine, which is really, really cool. So if you wanted to build 2 of these farms right next to each other, you would basically just mirror it. So all of this farm can be built right next to this farm right here. This would be the sugarcane that your next sugarcane plants are growing on, and you'd have your next redstone rail line right there, and then of course your next set of pistons would be right here, like so. Pretty straightforward. You would have to figure out a few small, very simple details for how to actually turn on and off your farm, but I'm sure you guys can handle that. And that farm, you know, basically 2 of these things right next to each other would produce about 12,000 sugarcane per hour, which is very, very nice. So if you want to double your output, you can build 2 of these right next to each other. So keep in mind that you're not limited to building just what I have shown here with 6 individual plants. You can actually expand this infinitely as far as you want. Of course, item collection becomes an issue. However, you can also shrink this down to just a single actual plant, as I have done over here, and you guys can probably figure out exactly how to build this after you have watched the main tutorial. So we have our main clock right here, and that powers our piston. We have a little bit of a redstone torch tower going up that powers another piston at the top, which then actually breaks the sugarcane basically as soon as it grows, which is very convenient. Hopper minecart at the bottom here going into a hopper, and then that of course it just puts all of our stuff into a chest. Very straightforward. This will produce about 1,000 sugarcane per hour, and as you can see, this is a very, very flexible little mechanic. I hope this stays in the Bedrock edition for a while. I think it will. So let me quickly show you how to build the actual 3 piston setup, since it is technically a little bit faster. So basically it's going to be more or less the same to the 2 piston setup. You're going to start off with a piston facing upwards right there, redstone torch on it, another piston facing to the front, another redstone torch above that, and then a piece of grass in front of it. That's where your actual sugarcane is going to be going. And then you're just going to have a piston facing downwards to the bottom right there. There we go. And that's basically all there is to it. We're going to go ahead and put some glass on that side to prevent water from falling out, and then also some glass right here for the water to fall into. Waterlog that piston right there, because that's a thing that we can do, and then all of that water will just go into that little trough. It won't flow anywhere else. Go ahead and power your pistons a couple of times for the actual piston heads to become waterlogged, and voila, you can go ahead and actually place in yourself a piece of sugarcane. Going ahead and flicking that lever will result in that thing growing, and this is a tiny bit faster than the actual 2 piston design. I've done a bunch of other testing, many hours, and this is pretty much the only other faster thing that I can find. Of course, it is quite a bit less compact because you have to build these things 2 blocks apart, in order for the actual water to not flow everywhere and actually flood everything and be a giant hassle. So for instance, the next one would be going right here, and then we can just go ahead and expand this a little bit for our water to both flow into the same spot, and then flicking that thing will result in us being able to plant to that. So as you can see, that is how you would build two of these next to each other. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to share it around and maybe leave a like on the video as well. I think as many people as possible should be building these farms and using them in their world while they can, because honestly, sugarcane just grows way too slowly, and bone meal is not a solution or an option because, like, it's just not, okay? And Zerotick farms are also just really, really cool. Also, if you're new to the channel and you want to see more tutorials like this in the future, be sure to join our community by subscribing. We would love to have you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about these farms or anything in general about this video, of course, let me know with a comment down below. Always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. But without further ado, I will see you guys down in the comments and in the next video. Thank you again for watching, and then there was silence.